Welcome to a brand new episode of Backpass with Ras, and we're on a brand new platform as well. So moving away from Zoom, first episode on Restream, and with me I got our resident young man, Mr. Kelvin Singh, without our young blood, Joel, and I think these two are just doing some bit of squad rotation to avoid getting fatigue ahead of a long season. How you doing, Kelvin?
Doing great, doing great. You're absolutely right. It's good to have some rotation, squad rotation, so that we're always fresh and providing the listeners and the viewers high energy. And I can't say I was so I must say I was so impressed with Joel and his research skills. Definitely kudos to him. And I watched the episode with Malik, the last one, and
Yeah.
what an episode it was.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that episode with Malik Awab, a legend of Singapore football, played in Malaysia as well for KL. So thanks for sharing your views on that episode. We
I
missed
actually
you.
think
We missed
I
you on it.
actually no, I actually think some of the Singaporean players, after watching them play against Malaysia, I think some of them actually might have heard your podcast with Malik Awab, because I think certain players actually stepped up their game. I must say, I won't mention who, but
Yeah, I think we know who. So, anyways, moving on to this episode, Kelvin, you will remember AC Milan from the noughties under Carlo Ancelotti, right?
Yeah, the Shevchenko period.
Yeah.
I give you a funny story. I used to play Winning 11. That was
Mm.
that's the Pro Evolution soccer. It's like a FIFA. It's not FIFA, but it's like a FIFA competitor, Konami,
Yeah.
on PlayStation. And my team on that gaming platform usually was the Milan team. Those and then I remember playing with two strikers and the diamond midfield, which
Oh
was
yeah.
crazy. Kaka, Perlo, Sidorf, and Gattuso. So
Uh-huh.
they were my diamond midfield. Then you got the Cafu, and so crazy. Those were my players then.
Okay, but what you might not know was that before the noughties, there was a generation from the late 80s to the 90s that was even greater than that Milan that you know of. And this Milan that we're going to talk about today is rated as one of the greatest club sides ever. And it's similar to Pep Guardiola's Barcelona. Only thing missing was, of course, that Milan team never won a treble. So that's the
Well,
only.
they could have won a treble back in 1990, but I'll touch on that later.
Okay, so yeah, he's here. He is firing before introduction. Mr. Javier Yang representing Milan Club Singapore, and we got Ahmad Fawwaz representing Milan Malaysia. How you doing, guys?
Oh, I'm great. How you guys?
I'm very well.
Great.
Yeah, thank you, Fawwaz.
Thank you for
Kelvin?
inviting us.
Yes, pleasure. I don't believe you two have met Javier and Fawwaz.
No,
Yeah.
this is the first time I'm meeting him.
All
Well,
right.
the
Never.
borders are open
Yeah.
now. The borders are open, so you guys can cross over.
Where are you based? Fawaz, are you in JB or KL or?
in, I'm in Perak actually.
Perak.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, Kelvin,
In
you wanna
Perak,
start
some
the-
200 kilometers from
Yeah.
KL.
Yeah, but anyway, now the borders are open, so let's hope
Yeah.
we can have a chance to catch up in person.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic, right? Javier, very briefly, how do you become a Milan fan? I know it was in 1987.
Yeah, but before that, I was watching football. I was a football fan. It's just that I wasn't really following a club
Mm.
until I saw Saki Milan, because they played
Yeah.
the way that I thought how a professional football team or how a great football team should play. So,
Mm.
so I was kind of like being mesmerized by the style that Saki Milan played, and from then on, I just became a fan.
Okay, cool. Yourself, Fawaz, again, which part of Perak are you at?
I'm actually in Ipoh.
Ipoh, okay.
Basically, yeah. Mhm.
All right, cool.
Alright.
And a little birdie told me that you're a doctor. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. I'm actually not really medical doctor, but I'm a lecturer actually.
Oh,
Oh,
right.
I get my doctorate in finance actually.
okay.
Okay.
So
Oh.
don't ask me about medical things, yeah.
So I
Okay.
work in the financial sector, so maybe we can have other things to talk about as well,
Oh, that's
other
Ah,
than
that's
me.
nice then. Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wonderful synergy from the
That would be
start
good.
between our guests here. Fawwaz, 1989 was when you started supporting Milan. Yourself, how do you become a Milan fan?
This is actually perhaps due to my father. He was actually into Diego Maradona. So
Okay.
during those period, there was a very, I mean, the heydays of the Calcio.
Yeah.
So the battles between Napoli and Milan was kind of a titanic battle.
Yeah.
So my father will go to this video shop, those time, those in 80s, we go to video
Yeah.
shop to rent normally movies, but my father will actually rent all these football games, football highlights. So we watched those together, and I was very fond of the particular Ruud Gullit and his
Mm.
hairstyle those
Okay.
time. So
Okay.
that was the first.
All right. Cool. Okay. So moving on. So this is going to be a roundtable discussion. The first topic
All
we're
right.
going to discuss will be the ownership of the club. So Fawaz, the first question to you, and Javier, anytime, even if the question is not directed at you, if you wish to add on something, please feel free to speak. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Fawaz,
Sure.
Silvio Berlusconi saved Milan from bankruptcy in 1986, and within a year, Milan had already tasted success by winning the Scudetto. So, it's such a short
Mhm.
space of time. What was the first most important thing he did to set Milan on the way to success?
Okay, I often believe that the way that Berlusconi carry himself, he's a very charismatic leader,
Yeah,
influential, and also in a way he lived larger than life basically. So
yeah,
he managed to get this kinds of attitude imbued in the Milan players. They
mm,
at first nobody believed him. He promised to be a world champion in 5 years. Nobody believes him, right? But then
yeah,
again, he showed it with his strategy, with his intention, and the purchase of the important players such as Gullit and such as Van Basten. I think
mm,
that will be the key actually. The way he carry himself, people trust in him.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
For
And
me,
yeah,
I'll just add on.
mm,
Berlusconi is the Roman Abramovich of his era.
yeah,
So,
That's a
so
good way to
that
put it.
that I think everybody would agree. So, back then he was a very successful businessman.
yeah,
So you know, what, for a businessman to be successful, you have to take risks. So he
yeah,
took some risks during that time. In that, he trusted Sacchi and he appointed Sacchi as coach. The reason he appointed Sacchi as coach, Sacchi at that time was a nobody, but
yeah,
because his
Mhm.
Parma team beat Milan in the Coppa Italia,
yeah,
and not just beat Milan, his Parma team from Serie B outplayed Milan
yeah,
and played
True.
a style which Berlusconi was really enchanted, and he said, "Okay, this guy could make, I mean, a team of just ordinary players play a style and outplay my so-called much fanciful team. I want this guy to be my coach." So he took a gamble. He appointed Saki as coach. He was willing to spend big at the time with a lot of big signings like Hulit van Basten, and the rest is history.
yeah. On this point, I got to share with my co-host Kelvin. At that time, Italian Serie A was the best because all these big clubs in Serie A were all owned by fans of the clubs. I mean, rich fans of
Oh,
that club. So for the better or for the worse, these people pumped in the money, and that's why they attracted all the big stars to Italy. Of course, they never really cared about the balance of the financial books, and that eventually led to the downfall fall of Italian football. But the rise of Italian football was just because of this. It's basically like English football today, but just that
yeah.
the clubs are owned by fans. So whatever decisions they make, for the better or for the worse, as I said, sometimes very impulsive, but it's all made as a fan. So that's a backstory on how and why Italian football was great in those days. And staying with you, Javier, you've been a season ticket holder at Milan, right? How many years has that been?
Since I would say 1999.
Okay, all right. So we spoke. Fawaz spoke about the personality of Berlusconi, and he had a wild side to him. I think we all know that. And so I just want to tap on your experience or any stories that you've heard in the 90s. Were there any wild or crazy things he did at Milan?
Maybe not so in the 90s, because in the 90s his focus then was more towards politics. You know, at the time he
Yeah.
wanted to become a prime minister and all that. But when he first became the president in the 80s and all that, there were some stories or some report. I don't know how true they are, but okay, some of them are true. Like when he first for all the big signings and all that, when he first kind of like get them to meet the fans, he made them appear in a helicopter. So he's like the helicopter landing in San Siro, and then all the players all came out from the helicopter to greet the fans. So that was something pretty big back in those days. And then also for some corporate events that he attended, because like as a businessman, he has a lot of corporate. So he would sneak in one or two of his players. Like I know Pulit attended some corporate events, and Pulit just appeared. The guests were like, "Oh, you got your star player to come and attend our event." And also the private side, I'll leave it aside, and you can read it. Whatever party he hosted at home, I guess.
Yeah.
You
You
guys
can read up
read it
on
in the
it.
papers.
That I know. That I know.
That you know, right, Kelvin?
And also, I think
The
after
bunga-bunga.
after Milan won the European Cup in 1989 in Barcelona, where they beat Steaua Bucharest 4-0, he told Sacchi, okay, look, I want to travel with the team back on the team bus back to the hotel. I'm not taking my own limo and all that. I want to travel the team on the team bus back to the hotel. I want to join the celebrations.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's that, and I think that's wrapped up the ownership topic right now. I think quite short and brief. Moving on now to managers, the managers that were responsible for the success of Milan. So Fawwaz, Arrigo Sacchi, as
Yes.
mentioned here already, he came out of nowhere and he won one Scudetto, one Supercoppa Italiana, two European Cups, today's Champions League, two European Super Cups, and two Intercontinental Cups in just 4 years playing, 4 years of his time at Milan. What was his playing style like, Fawaz?
In many ways, Saki brings Milan a new vision, a new style. I remember that basically before Saki came to Milan, before in fact Serie A itself was very play in a very slow tempo.
Yeah.
And normally when the teams lead, they get one goal and then basically they are
Park
going
the
to defend
bus.
that goal.
Close shot.
All the, park the bus. We don't use that term now, those times, right? Anyway, but Saki changed things. I think the most important part is the way the philosophy that he tried to pass to his teams, that they must keep on scoring, they must keep on pressing. And the thing pressing that nowadays everybody is talking about those pressing by first Guardiola and then Klopp, but it wasn't there in 80s or 90s. So Saki was the man who perfected the system. Of course, he get lots of help with the laws that time, the way that they can pass it back to the keeper can hold the ball, and also the offside rule also play parts as well. But then again, they keep on pressing. Okay, so this kind of pressing was perhaps was never heard of, especially in Italian Serie A, especially, and then they take it to the European stage as well, and they surprise everybody with the new look of Milan and the new look of Italian football. So the zonal marking was basically always attributed back to him, because he is the one who, not the one who initiated, but he was the one who make it perfect. So it was Sacchi's Milan who basically bring the modern football that we know nowadays.
Correct. So Sacchi's Milan played a very, I would say, un-Italian style.
Yeah.
Despite being an Italian team, they
Yeah.
played a very un-Italian style with a lot of pressing, high defensive line, and zonal marking. Because back then in Italy, I would say almost every team played with man marking. So they played with two man markers and a sweeper. But Sacchi played with a flat back four, zonal marking, high pressing, and high defensive line. And the thing back then was pressing and attacking. That was something of I would say, a revolution. Back then, hardly any team were playing this style of football.
Okay, Javier, staying with you. So after Sacchi left to be the manager of the Italian national team, Fabio Capello took over in slightly controversial circumstances, I must say. But he built on Sacchi's era. He won 4 Scudetti, 3 Supercoppa Italiana, 1 Champions League, and 1 European Super Cup. How different was his style to Sacchi?
I would say Capello's style is more tactical. His focus is more on tactic. He's someone who will sometimes make tactical changes and all that in the game. For Sacchi, he believed in his system. For him, for Sacchi, is my system is perfect. So once my players play well within my system, we will win. And whatever changes he make is always a player for player, striker for striker, midfielder for striker, and all that. He will not tinker with his system. My players must play within my system. Capello will sometimes see how the game reacts and all that, and then sometimes he will make in-game tactical changes. That is the main difference between these two coaches.
Okay. But would you say Capello's style was defensive or still attacking?
For me, defensive. I still prefer
Always
Sacchi's style.
defensive. Yeah, we look at it.
How defensive? Well, I would say there was one season where Milan. I think you have that
Yeah.
in one of
Yeah,
the
we're going to touch on that
where
later.
we only that Milan only considered 15 goals throughout. But that Milan was way too defensive. And to be quite honest with you, for me, I don't like watching that Milan team because it was way too defensive compared to how Sacchi's team used to play.
Okay. All right, Fawwaz. Now we're going to
Can
give
I add something? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Sorry, can I add something on
Continue.
Capello?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but by the way, I think to be a little bit precise, in the first year he took over from Sacchi, he was offensive. And that was the period when Van Basten was at his peak, and Gullit also was free of injury. So they were winning by very large margin. I remember against Foggia 8-2, against Fiorentina 5-2. But after that, after Van Basten injured, then I think Capello in many ways is a very pragmatic coach. He changed things, and as Javier said, then he changed to become a little bit more defensive because he is losing his star striker, by the way, the best player in the world at the time.
But for us, I think when Capello took over, I agree that first year he took over, that Milan team was still quite playing the old Sacchi way because it was already a very well-oiled machine. So Capello didn't really make that many tweaks and all that. The players, like Sacchi's system, is still pretty much in the mindset of all those players, so they could still pretty much play the style that they were used to. But because of the injuries later to Van Basten and all that, yes, that's where Capello has to make some adjustment, and Capello had to make some maybe changes to his game plan, and then that's where his style became more defensive.
I agree, totally.
Okay, Fawwaz, this is an honorary mention to Mr. Alberto Zaccaroni, who won the last Scudetto of the 90s in 98-99. What did he do right that season to win it for Milan?
Okay, I always feel that night, that was the centenary years, actually 100 years of Milan. I always feel that in many ways Zaccaroni team was not the most, I mean, classical Milan, not typical of the Milan's strange Milan formation. 3-4-3 with Serginho on the left side, and then he will cross the ball, and then they were Berhoff that time, and then he was a very good header. All right, but also I mean I'm a Milan fan all over, but then again, to be very honest, it was Juve's and Inter's basically the decline of Juve and Inter during those period. Because Juventus was losing Del Piero for ACL, and Inter was losing Ronaldo as well. So a little bit lucky, but also he managed to get all the tactics spot on at that time.
It was I would say that 99 Scudetto was an unexpected Scudetto. Nobody expected Milan to win at the time. At one stage, I believe Lazio were leading the table by maybe 9 to 10 points, and Milan were the chasing pack. But the last 7 games, Milan won the last final 7 league matches, and they managed to overtake Lazio on the final day to win the Scudetto. There were some lucky moments in that season. One of which was I remember against Sampdoria in the 94th minute, Maurizio Gans scored the game-winning goal via deflection. That was in the 94th minute. So if that goal has been ruled out, or let's say if the referee hasn't given that many injury time, then maybe the Scudetto would have gone to Lazio.
Yeah. I'm a big Serie A fan. And I remember that season as well. I can't believe how Milan won that league because, like you say,
Do
Lazio
they
were the
know who
most.
you support in Italian Serie
I
A?
don't think they know who I support.
It's quite
Yeah,
a game
I
changer.
know, I
the blue
know.
half, the blue half
The
of
blue half of
Milano,
Milan.
the blue half
Yes,
of Milano.
we are brothers, man. We are
Yeah.
cousins. So yeah, I really can't believe that. And on this point also, since you've mentioned my allegiance, I got to say when I started watching Italian football in Serie A in the early 90s, of course, my favorite player is this guy here, if you can guess.
Baguio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Juventus was a team I watched quite closely because of this player, and then Milan was always a very impressive team to me because whenever you saw highlights of Italian Serie A or you heard it on news, it's always Milan win this team, Milan wins that team, Marco and Baston scoring a hat trick, so that is stuck in my mind. So I'll share more memories of Milan later. And moving on from managers, we go talk about the legacies and the triumphs of Milan, which is a fantastic topic to speak about. Javier, Milan in 91-92, the original Invincibles. So before Arsenal managed that, Milan were the original Invincibles. Went the entire season unbeaten. They set an Italian record of 58 games from 19 May 91 to 21st March 93, unbeaten. In that period, was there a match or some match you felt maybe Milan might lose this run?
At that time, no. I mean, when you look at that Milan, it was really dominating, not just in Serie A, but also in Europe. Okay,
Europe.
91, 92, they were banned from European
Mm.
competition. So
Why were
maybe
they banned?
Why would they?
okay, a bit of a history. So in the 1990-91 season, Milan were playing Marseille in the
Yeah,
old European Cup,
yeah.
or now it's the Champions League. Back then, it was still called the European Cup, and then it was in the semi-finals. They were playing Marseille. They were trailing 1-0, and the floodlights went out.
Mm.
Oh,
So the match was stopped, and then the players went back to the dressing. But when the floodlights resumed and all that, Galliani at that time ordered the players, okay, do not return to the pitch. We are not going to play. So UEFA kind of like deemed this as unsportsmanlike behavior, and they awarded the game to Marseille, and they banned Milan from European competition for one season. So the 91-92 season, well, in hindsight, the way I look at it, Milan were able to stay unbeaten. Maybe the ban, that 1 year European ban, could be also one reason, because they can solely focus on Serie A and without any European distractions. So that could have also been a reason as to why they were able to dominate that season, and they go that entire season unbeaten.
Okay, so Fawwaz, this is something we have already touched on a bit earlier. 93
Yeah.
94, Milan had the meanest defense in the league. 15 goals conceded over 34 games. They had an all Italian defense Mauro Tassotti, Franco Barresi, Alessandro Costa, Paolo Maldini, and the goalkeeper Sebastiano Rossi went 11 matches without conceding a goal, which at the time was the longest streak a goalkeeper had gone without conceding in Serie A. What made this defense so hard to penetrate?
They move like a symphony, a perfect orchestra. They have trained together for such a long time under Sacchi, and then they now gel together. Even Barasi said they will move together, and they think together as if they know. They have some kind of mutual understanding between them. It was delightful to see. But then again, as we already mentioned, during this period, I think the main reason is actually because Milan has changed their philosophy. Under Sacchi, it was always all out attack. But then under Capello, they were a little bit more pragmatic, and they know when to defend and when to attack. So this balance helps to basically to protect them from any kinds of goals scored during those time. I think Javier want to add something.
Yeah, I'll just add one more point, because what you said is true, because that team, that defensive unit has played together for about 5-6 years under Sacchi and all that. So the synergy, the understanding is there. They just need one look or even one glance. They already knew what the teammate is going to do. So the understanding, the synergy is there. And then the one reason I want to add as to what made that team really more compact defensively was there is actually, in fact, a fifth defender, Marcel Desailly. So Desailly at that time was signed from Marseille. And if you look at the career of Marcel Desailly, Milan is the only team where he played in midfield. He played as a defensive midfielder in Milan. So elsewhere, with all his other teams, whether is it at Nantes, at Marseille, at Chelsea, or for the French national team, he has always played as a central defender. So when he comes to Milan at that time, I think Capello initially wanted him to play in defense as well. He's at that time viewed as more of a long-term replacement for Barresi. But after Rijkaard left, that midfield lacked that toughness, that aggression. So Capello decided, okay, never mind, I'll move Desailly to midfield, kind of like as a replacement for Rijkaard. And then that's where now Desailly added that toughness, added that I would say give that defense more protection. So that made the team even more compact defensively.
Also got to add that a season before Desailly joined Milan, he was part of the Marseille team that beat Milan in the European Cup
but
final.
He played in as a central defender for that Marseille team.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a history there.
Yeah.
And this one now, speaking about European Cup finals, Javier, this for me is the most impressive performance by any team till today as a neutral in a Champions League or European Cup final. Milan beat the favourites at that time, Johan Cruyff's dream team, Barcelona, 4-0 in the Champions League final. And this was impressive because they were missing Marco van Basten. At that point of time, they had the world's most expensive player also, Gianluigi Lentini, who was missing. Barresi was suspended, Costa Curta was suspended. And I remember Johan Cruyff was very confident that Barcelona is going to beat Milan leading up to the final. So he had all the hopes on winning this, but it turned completely upside down. Talk to us about this final, Javier.
Okay. First of all, do you know who is my favorite Milan player of all time? Question to you guys. Take a guess.
That's a good question. Let's see. Maldini.
No. Okay.
Which position he plays?
Because you mentioned about this final, 1994 final. He was the man who is responsible for bringing Milan that victory.
Savicevic.
Savicevic.
Dejan Savicevic. So Savicevic is my favorite Milan player of all time, even up to now. So before that, of course, Milan entered to that match as underdogs. So the pressure is all on Barcelona to win. And a lot of time, even the media was speculating that Barcelona would win. It's not just they will win, but how many goals they would trash Milan and all that. And before that, everybody is already talking about, okay, this is Barcelona's cup, is their cup. So they are under a lot of pressure to win. So Milan entered it as underdogs. And Savicevic played the match of I would even say the match of his life. He was 4-0 and he was involved in all 4 goals. The first goal, he provided Massaro an assist. The second goal scored by Massaro, well, it was Donadoni who made the cross, but if you watch it again, Savicevic made a dummy run that drew 2 defenders away so that Massaro is open in the box to score that goal. The third goal was that lob he scored. Yep.
You must see that, Kelvin.
The fourth goal was scored by Desailly, but before Desailly scored the goal, it was Savicevic that hit the post, and then Barcelona cleared the ball out to midfield, and somehow Desailly got the ball, and then he scored. So for me, Savicevic was involved in all 4 goals that night. So
can you just share with us what players Barcelona had at that time?
They had Mario. They had Mario, they had Stoichkov, they had Ronnie Koeman,
Stoichkov as well.
Yes, Stoichkov, and they had a very young Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
And they have Sergi Barjuan and Baquero. And for me, their best player, he's also one of my favorite players, didn't play that night. So maybe that was also one of the reasons why Barcelona lost. He's a Danish playmaker. So if Laudrup would have played, I think it might have been different because Laudrup is someone who is very clever at making true passes and all that. And the way Milan defended that night, maybe one of Laudrup's or Laudrup's there, if he's passing and all that, he might help Barcelona open up the play, or even like with him playing, Romario or Stoichkov might be able to give them a good ball, and then they might be able to score.
All right, Kelvin, you've been quiet. I think you've got something to ask now.
Man, like you guys, I was just a fun fact. I was probably 1 or 2 years old when all this thing was happening.
Right.
So I only watched football when I think it was in the 2000s. So I think that was a great period, great dynasty AC Milan had. I think there was such a long tradition both the Milan clubs had, but they actually had quite a tough time in recent years. I would say, recent Serie A, a lot of ups and downs. But this season, however, very, very different. I think it started off like last season, maybe they were trying to, they start playing well. So Milan sitting 3 points ahead with just a few more games to go. Guys, maybe I'll start with Fawwaz. Is this your season? Can the team go all the way this season?
Of course, we hope so. This is a dream. To win a Scudetto in this year will be a dream. But to be honest with you, I think when we start the season, all we were hoping for is actually to at least to get into the top four to secure the Champions League qualification. But then again, it seems that there is a genuine chances for this year, and if we can keep on winning, I think for such a young squad, what we must keep actually will be the concentration. That will be the most important part, perhaps. So if we can keep that and win the remaining matches, then it will be a dream come true.
Yeah, no predictions for me because I don't want to jinx anything. But the thing now is,
Typical Italian fan.
I ask you a question, Javier. This question for you. Maybe do you think that maybe after seeing Inter Milan picking up the Scudetto, is there like an extra motivation for the Milan players? Say, hey man, Inter can do it. We're going to do it as well.
There will always be this rivalry. I think you always want to do one better than they in Italy. Well, Milan fans and Inter fans, they call each other cugini, meaning cousins. So we are like cousins. We are family. So if you can win something and then rub it into someone in your family, definitely that's something that you want.
Oh, you know what? An even better thing to say is you are keeping it in the family. So whether it's the trophy is not going to go anywhere, it's going to still be at San Siro. So it's either Inter or AC Milan, but better for you guys.
But right now the situation is very it's all within your like Milan's control now. You treat every match like a cup final.
Right.
So don't drop points. Win every game, and then keep your focus. Just win every game, and then the Scudetto will be yours. So in short, just need to tell the players, treat every match like a cup final.
As you can see, when we're talking about that, we are also excited. You see a certain person on your screen, Ras, not having the best time of his life, seeing Inter Milan trailing. But hey, man, Ras, what do you think?
I think they can feel it already. I think they can sense it. The Scudetto is coming closer. It's just moving the other side of Milan, but still, it's going to stay in Milan. I think as a neutral, probably Inter and Milan fans would say, rather the Scudetto stays in Milan and it goes to Turin, right?
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it.
That's a philosophical way of looking at it. But I'm not giving up on it, but let's see.
Ras is secretly, that's a true fan, man. True fan.
Yeah.
Javier, this is for you, man. What has been different? So, like I mentioned, the dynasty before in the 90s, crazy, going in the whole season unbeaten. You also had the Carlo Ancelotti's team, the Kakas, the Shevchenkos, those teams. Where they had the meanest defense as well. Nesta, Cafu, Maldini was there, Dida. That team was pretty good.
Yep.
And then it just suddenly had some kind of blip or something like that. Something happened. But what would you say, in your opinion, what has been different this season compared to the previous seasons leading up to this season? What is different?
I think because I would say now the players are getting more familiar with Pioli and his style, and also the growth of certain players. I think you could see that a lot of players this year, like people like Liao, like Benacer, like Tonali and all that, they have really improved a lot this season. And also two Frenchmen, I would have to say. First is the goalkeeper, my Manion.
He's having a good season.
Signing. He is totally really exceeded my expectation. In fact, I think a lot of Milan fans didn't really expected him to be that
Is
good.
he better than Donnarumma, in your opinion?
Obviously,
Oh.
obviously. Hands
After what we
down.
saw in Real Madrid game, right?
Hands
Donnarumma,
down,
oh my
hands
god.
And then the other one is maybe again people were very skeptical of him, but he came in. He scored a lot of crucial goals. Olivier Giroud.
Olivier Giroud. It's a
Yeah,
very useful player.
Yep.
For us, what do you think?
For
I think
for
another
him,
reason would be, another reason why we're having the difference this year is our squad is getting better. We have a better squad roster. In the last year we lost Ibrahimovic and we don't have any more strike power. We lost Cassie or Benacer most of the part of the season. We don't have any substitute, but now we have Tonali. And then the back four, we are missing the original pairing between Kia and also Romagnoli. But now we have a new centre back. They are making a statement. This is really helpful actually. Maldini is building a very strong squad actually. Very young as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very young. The person I think impressed me in defense, is actually Tomori.
yes.
I saw him play a couple of times for Chelsea, so I watched a lot of English football, and I thought he was a decent player already. I was very surprised they let him go, and then he just went to Italian Serie A. He actually learned Italian or something like that,
Yeah.
to better,
Communicate.
communicate with the players. So amazing stuff. I think, in my opinion, is this season is actually Milan's season to lose. I'm very surprised you guys didn't mention too much about Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I mean, this guy is amazing. What is he going to play till his? Oh, is he 40 already? Maybe he's 40.
He's 40.
I
Yeah,
think
he's
he's
40.
over
Yeah.
40. He's maybe
40,
like
41 or
40.
something.
His next birthday, he will be 40. Let's see, 41.
This guy is insane. I read an article about him, and he was like, "If I do not play football anymore, the football will miss me or something like that." Because he's Zlatan, right? He can say whatever he wants. Moving on to talking about players now. Moving on to players, right?
Let me handle
Fawwaz.
this first.
Oh, sorry, Ras will take it from here.
Yeah. We go back to old school first.
All right.
Okay.
So just gonna ask you guys now. Not this one's for Fawaz. Who would you say were the most underrated players in that Milan team of the 90s?
Okay, to be honest with you, initially I was about to say Marco Simone, but I saw you posted about him, so I changed my mind. So now I'm going to say the other one will be Dimitrios Albertini. Not many people remember him. I mean, when people talk about Albertini, they don't put him in the same bracket as Pirlo, perhaps. But
Correct.
he was the guy before he's the hybrid between Gattuso and Pirlo. He can do both. So he also has a good vision, and in many ways, he's a model professional. I always love him as a player. And even until today, I always feel that he is better than Pirlo. So he will be my favorite player as well in the 90s.
Okay, yeah,
For me, my pick will be different from Fawwaz. I'll go with Filippo Galli. Not many people
okay.
remember him because people
Yeah.
only remember what they call the Ministry of Defense. So the backline of Tassotti, Maldini, Barresi, and Costa, they were nicknamed the Ministry of Defense by Carlo Palaghetti. He's a Milan journalist who covered Milan for 40 years. So he nicknamed them the Ministry of Defense. But there is a fifth beater, which is Filippo Galli. So Galli was the guy who, whenever one of the four was injured or couldn't play, he is the fifth guy that would step in, and then he would fit in, I would say, seamlessly into that back four whenever one of the four couldn't play. So he also played with that unit he was also a player from Sacchi time to Capello's time. So he was someone who is familiar with those four, and at any time where one of those couldn't play, he would fit in seamlessly.
All right, fantastic, man. I think I just want to ask both of you. The goalkeepers don't get too much attention from that team. Sebastiano Rossi, especially, never played for Italy as well. But of course, back then Italy had so many great goalkeepers as to choose from. But your opinion on him is a bit of a madcap character.
For me, well, I would say I still prefer, let's say, if you want to look at maybe the Italian keepers, and I would still take Giovanni Galli, the keeper from Sacchi time, over Sebastiano Rossi. Or if you ask me whether if I would pick him or Dida, I would pick Dida over Rossi too.
Okay, cool. Fawwaz, yourself on Rossi?
I think Rossi is reliable, but he is not spectacular. That's the thing. This very simple way to put him. Very simple.
Okay. All right, guys. Now we're going to do a bit of fun stuff now. I'm going to ask both of you. We're going to show some pictures here. And I want to get your opinion on these players. These are all attacking players.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just get the picture up. First picture would be this guy here. Javier first. Your opinion on this player.
Okay. He's a great player, but for me, I find that he's a scorer of great goals, but not a great goal scorer. I had a lot of expectations on him when he first joined Milan, but in terms of the goal output and all that, he didn't really score that many. His goal ratio, he didn't really have a great goal ratio while he was at Milan, but people remember him because he scored a lot of spectacular. So for me, I would say he's a scorer of great goals, but not a great goal scorer. But obviously a great player, a very skillful player.
Yeah. So the person we're talking about here, for
George
those listening in, is George Weah. Fawwaz, your opinion?
He's a very strong player as well. But I think he never managed to replicate his form when he was at PSG before. But still, as Javier put, he managed to score some very beautiful goals, especially the one where he basically dribbled almost an entire team.
Yeah.
Was it this game
Against
against
Verona.
Capo or something?
Verona.
Verona, yeah.
He dribbled the entire
Verona
team.
team.
It was a corner, a
Yeah.
Verona corner that landed on his feet, and then he just dribbled the coast to coast. He just dribbled the entire pitch.
In his red boots.
Right. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So next player is this guy here. See who we got. Interesting player, this one. This one, just don't laugh, okay, when I show you his picture.
Okay.
Ibrahim Ba. Fawwaz, your opinion.
Okay. Every time I heard the name, I will always remember he is a very good friend to Paulo Maldini. He is also a squad player, not very spectacular. I mean, in many ways, I don't think he will fit in the Sacchi teams, but he is reliable and he will basically helps the team whenever he is called upon.
Okay, Javier?
For me, he's the guy that caused Milan Luis Figo. So back then, when Milan had the chance to sign two players, it was between him and Figo. So at that time, Galliani went to scout both players. In the end, he came back and said, "Let's sign Bar." So even up to today, I'm still very bitter. Imagine that time if Milan had signed Luis Figo instead, what would be? I mean, yeah, it would be different. Okay. It would be different. So this guy, don't show me this picture. He makes me think of the so-called.
What could have been? What could have been?
What if Milan signed Luis Figo instead of this guy?
Okay, not going to show you his picture. Taking it down. Next player. Okay, next player. This guy here. Jean-Pierre Papan. Javier.
For me, I think he came here as a Ballon d'Or winner, and expectations were so-called pretty high on him. But to me, I find that because when he came over, he wasn't really given the opportunity to play. It's not necessarily his fault because back then there was only there were the three foreigner
Three
rule,
foreigners,
and yes. And most of the time, and his time was also with the time where the three Dutchmen were around. So when the three Dutchmen were playing, he pretty much couldn't play. He only plays whenever Van Basten was not playing. So I remembered him scoring maybe some pretty good goals and all that. But for me, I find that he could have been better utilized if there wasn't the three foreigner rule.
Okay, Fawwaz.
Papan was the Giroud before the Giroud. He will love to score all those acrobatic goals, and he also has. I mean, he will be the perfect partner for Van Basten in many ways. But I think the moment he arrived at Milan, Van Basten started to get injury, and that was a little bit pity. They will complement each other perfectly. But as Javier said, I think the rules that time was not favoring Milan, or else we will. I think Milan will conquer the world in many by winning many more trophies if they were able to have more players actually.
Because Capello had 6 world-class foreign players and he could only play 3 at any one time.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was the foreign player rule that was there in
Correct.
Italian football, and it was in practice in European football as well.
Yes, back then in European and in domestic or like European football, and also in a lot of the European domestic league, they had this three foreigner rule in place.
Yeah, correct. Now this one, I'm sure you have many nice words to say about him.
Oh, obviously,
Javier.
legend. I think maybe one of the best strikers that have ever played the game of football.
Yeah.
Wow.
With
I
him,
also agree.
pretty much, he was like, in fact, the most, I would say he's the most complete striker ever. He had everything. He won players height. He has the height. He has the strength. He has physique. He has elegance. He has that first touch. Everything.
Fawaz, anything you
Not
want to
only
add
he
that?
is elegant, but he will, yeah. Van
Yeah,
Basten was
carry
not
on.
only elegant, but he will also do lots of things. You will see that as if he was not sweating at all. He will look very calm, I mean, smooth operator. And he will be always be my favorite striker ever. And the way he will score goals from every position, from every way, then he will be I would say he was still the best player, best striker Milan ever have.
All right, nice. It's not over yet. We've got a few more. So
Okay.
this guy, I would say, was one of the most important players from that 99 winning squad.
Ah,
Fawaz.
Bierhoff.
Okay,
Yeah,
Oliver
specifically help
Bierhoff.
me.
All right. Uh, okay, a very good header. I think the way that Milan won the Scudetto in 1999 was mainly because of his header, and the team was basically set up in order to maximize his potential in, especially in by heading the crossing kind of thing. And also, I also remember that after he left Milan, he joined Chievo Verona and had a fight with Maldini. I think they were basically punching each other that time. Maybe Javier remembers that incident?
yeah, I kind of remember. I don't know what. Maybe it was. I couldn't remember what was it, but could be something. He mocked Maldini or Maldini mocked him over, and then could be just a friendly jab, but it turned to be quite ugly. But
Maybe.
Bierhoff, he was an air monster. So in the 1999 Scudetto winning season, he scored 20 goals. 15 of them were from headers.
Okay, cool. This guy now is coming up on your screen. My favorite player of all time. Javier, what do you got to say?
I would say he is the most technically gifted Italian player of his generation. So very technically gifted, very creative. Uh, maybe had a bit of bad luck when it comes to injuries, and maybe when it comes to his international career and all that, he just couldn't win an international trophy. So that is something which is of a disappointment.
Yeah. Fawwaz?
I also love Baggio. But I think during that period, most of the Italian coaches, including Capello, unfortunately, and later even Ancelotti declined to sign him. I think they do
Yeah.
not know how to use him best. That was very unfortunate. They consider him as a luxury player. But then if they only play him the way that Carlo Mazzoni play him
Mazzoni, yeah.
in Brescia that time, yeah, then he was a fair player. You saw all his goals. I mean, sublime touch. Oh, man, unfortunately, he wasn't able to replicate his form at Juventus.
Yeah, at Milan, yep, I gotta agree with that. But he managed to win one Scudetto with Milan.
Yeah.
Now this guy, Fawwaz, your favorite player, right? Fawwaz?
Okay. Also, I
The reason you
have
became a
lots of
fan.
favorite player now. Okay. Yep. First of all, of course, the hair, flamboyant, and the mustache as well. I mean, didn't to be
Yeah, the
having this kinds
mustache,
of
man.
appearance. You mean? Okay, and also he is not many people realize it. He is someone with a very much high philosophy. Remember when he won the Ballon d'Or, he basically attributed it to Mandela and also lots of other things. He was the most important player. I mean, when Van Dijk for Milan in 1987, he was injured. Most of the time he didn't play, but Gullit was the main man. He was the player who basically took Milan, helped Sacchi, and even as Sacchi will describe him as a robot because of his physical attributes. And Maradona himself will call him as one of the best trequartista ever in Italian football. I love him.
Okay, Javier?
If Van Basten is the complete striker, Gullit is the complete footballer. He can do anything. He can play anywhere, and he has all the attributes that you want as a professional, not just a footballer, but a professional athlete. He is tall. He has the strength. He has the physique. He has the athleticism. He has the flair. Everything you want in a footballer, and you can play him pretty much in any outfield position, and he wouldn't be out of position. He wouldn't be lost and all that. He would just fit in nicely.
All right, fantastic. One last player. I got one last player for you. Is this guy, Zvonimir Boban. Javier.
For me, I think he's he's a warrior. He's a leader. So the thing is, he is very charismatic. He's very vocal. And then I think his most memorable incident was when he was playing with Partizan
In
Belgrade,
Yugoslavia.
where a Serbian policeman was attacking the fan, and then he just went over and he attacked the policeman and all that. So he became a national hero. But of course, as a player, he was I would say again very technically gifted with a very great field vision. Someone who can control the tempo of the game. Someone, let's say, I would say he was the one of the main players too in that 99 Scudetto season, because Zaccaroni at the time was playing a 3-4-3 for most of the season, but for the final 7 games, he switched to a 3-4-1-2, and he played Boban as the number 10 playmaker in that final 7 games. That made a difference. So because with Boban playing the number 10 role, Milan won the last final 7 games.
All right. Over to you, Kelvin.
So
Now
man,
it's your
crazy
turn.
attacking players, crazy attacking players. But let me just jump straight to it. So what I'm gonna do is, I know you guys had some great lists of players, but not including, you guys had Ronaldinho, play for AC Milan. You had Ronaldo, and I think one player missing there was Shevchenko. I know he came a bit late, but I think he, for me, was the complete striker before he left for Chelsea and totally screwed up his career.
For me, I think he was the closest player to ever. He's the closest player to Van Basten. I
Van
think
Basten, yeah.
that is the highest
Yep.
compliment I can pay
Many
to
ways.
Shevchenko.
100%. He was. I think people used to
I
fear
agree.
playing with him. It's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
Shevchenko is playing. Oh my god, what the hell?
We used
And
to fear playing against him.
yeah, I know. I see him. I see his name on the. I'll get real. But okay, let me just jump straight into it. I will give you guys some names and these are defenders now. I'm sorry, I cannot tell you things. I cannot ask you for defenders back in the 90s because I have no idea who they are. But I can give you something more current, more recent, maybe in the last 15 years or somewhere around there. And this
Okay,
is
just don't
very different
give
from.
Harry Maguire, please.
Oh my god, that is the worst ever. Like I would not even include his name
Okay.
anywhere near nothing. Uh, how do you know I'm a United supporter? Is it pretty obvious?
No, because the thing here is I watch a lot of EPL too. For me, I think maybe for the past decade or so, I have become more like a football fan rather than a Milan fan. So in a sense that I've been watching a lot more other different leagues and I'm watching a lot more other different matches and all that. So long if your team plays pretty football, I'll watch.
And one thing we all learned from Harry Maguire is how not to defend in a football
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
How not to do anything. I saw an article today as well, and it's going viral whereby they were playing the tiki taka, like the
Rondo,
monkey in the
Rondo.
middle,
They play Rondo.
and
Yeah.
yeah, the hendo, and then he just stopped the ball, and then Henderson went to look at him. Was like, "What the hell are you doing?" Which was quite funny. So let me list you guys a couple of defenders, from the yesteryears, and also currently. And so I will start with Javier. I'll give you one name and the first word in your mind that you can describe this defender. You can let me know. I will start with Paulo Maldini. Javier,
Paulo Maldini, I would say loyalty. If you want
loyalty.
to ask me the first word, 25 years with Milan, and then that is not something that you would see nowadays, like a one club man, a true professional. So for Maldini, first word I'll say is loyalty.
Loyalty is a good word.
Correct.
For us, for you, Alessandro Nesta.
Wow, elegance.
It's an elegant defender, yeah?
Yep.
I thought he
Yes,
was
in
like
many
the
ways.
more of like the no nonsense defender. I remember him and Fabio Cannavaro in the World Cup, and like, oh my god, these two guys.
Cannavaro is the
No,
no-nonsense one.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
guy is
Nesta
Cannavaro
very
is
is
elegant.
like,
can,
he's running after you,
Nestor
he's gonna
has
break a leg.
that air of elegance in him when it comes to defending. Really a
Yeah.
very stylish, very classy
yep.
defender. So
Javier, for you now.
if you watch the 80s and all that, his style is quite similar to one of the very classy, elegant sweeper of the 80s. Have you heard of the name Gaetano Scirea?
Scaria. Yep.
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah.
Juventus keeper.
Scirea was a very elegant. Their style are quite similar.
Mm.
Very interesting. Then you guys had the Dutch monster, Yap Stam. Javier, Yap Stam, what do you feel?
Uh, Colossus. I would call him because he played with Lazio too. He played in Rome and all that. So I
Yeah.
would use a Rome landmark to describe this fella. I think he's just a towering presence in defense. So rock solid, very strong on the ball. I have to just use a Rome landmark to describe him.
It's crazy. This guy, even as a manager walking down the touchline, I think he was managing Reading. He looks like he's going to beat up the next manager beside him. It's pretty crazy. Yep, Stum. For us, for you, this guy probably my favorite right back after, I like Dani Alves, but this guy, Cafu, one of the
Okay.
best right backs that played the game. What's your take on it? The first word.
The train. The
Yeah,
train.
Pendolino.
Ooh.
The
They,
train.
they,
Yeah.
they call him Pendolino, which is the express train that travels between Rome and Milan.
Yep.
So that's the name for Pendolino. That's the nickname they gave Cafu when he was playing.
Very accurate.
Yeah.
Okay, and next name, Javier. Alexandro Costa Curta. I know you guys spoke about him earlier. One word from him.
Professor.
Professor of Defense.
Billy.
Professor Billy. Because for him, he is very intelligent. So in a way, for him, I mean, a journalist once wrote about Costa Curta to say that he's someone who doesn't move a lot. Like sometimes during a full game, he may only run for 10, 15 minutes, but he's someone who can defend without having to run.
That's the
So,
best kind of defending.
Someone just a journalist wrote about him. He's the type of defender who could defend without having to run. So, Professor.
Fawwaz, for you, Thiago Silva.
Okay, okay. For me, Thiago Silva, I will always call him apprentice.
Apprentice.
Why?
Yeah, I remember him. Nesta was basically he was actually taken in to replace Maldini, and Nesta was basically guiding him to partner him, and that's why I always remember him as a apprentice to the team.
Amazing.
He learned well then, I must say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy. And now you look at him, what a defender.
Now even at his age now, he's still playing incredibly well. I mean, for his age, is really amazing for someone who is like, I think he's like 37, 38 now, but he's still playing like he was maybe in his late 20s, early 30s.
He needs to teach Maguire how to defend, I think. On Maguire
and the amazing thing about him is he can still jump. I mean, how could someone at 37, 38 still jump so high? I mean, you would have lost your athleticism.
Well, there's certain someone is called Cristiano Ronaldo. For us, Gianluca Zambrotta.
Okay, Zamrota. What should I call him? Zamrota here. I think he can versatility.
Okay. Yes.
He can play in both sides. Okay, in midfield as well. Yeah. I think he started his career as a winger, rather.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay, so versatility. So more current ones for you now, Javier. We spoke about him earlier. Fikayo Tomori.
I would call him the Rock because his style reminds me a little bit of Desai. I mean, how he played and how Desai used to play, I could see some similarities. And Desai was just a rock solid player. So Tomori would be the Rock.
Wow. For us, Simon Kjær. Simon Kjær.
Yeah. He will be the Viking.
Oh, nice, the Viking.
The real Viking.
Yes. Man, this guy can defend. Javier, Alessio Romagnoli.
Okay, for him, this is a bit tough because I don't really rate him as highly as maybe most Milan supporters, so I'll call him overrated.
Oh,
Okay. I got to say, it's been disappointing. I expected more from him as an Italian fan, but
okay. So I think Fawwaz also agree with my assessment that he is overrated.
Agree. I have to.
That's a good, honest opinion. At least it's an honest opinion. And, it's a great one.
We expect much more from him.
Yes.
For us, Theo Hernandez.
Oh, speedster.
Oh yes. I think this
Very
guy,
fast.
and he can score goals, man.
Of course. Fantastic as well.
Theo Hernandez, what a good player. Okay, really quickly, my last question for you guys. Javier, who is your player of the season so far?
Okay, I've mentioned his name earlier in the interview, and I'll bring it up again. Mike Manion. I guess for him, he was the guy that really surprised me the most because when he first came over, expectations on him were not really so high, and he was replacing Donnarumma, who had an excellent Euro tournament. So back then, people were saying, "Wow, this guy, he came from the French league," and well, with all due respects to the French league, Ligue 1 is maybe a league when compared to Serie A, people would always think that it is an inferior league when compared to Serie A. So can this guy really so-called perform well? And he's replacing one keeper, which is maybe the star performance of the European Championship. So from what I've seen so far, wow, I'm totally impressed with this guy. And the way he plays and all that, his composure, and as a modern day keeper, you have to be someone who who is able to play with your feet, someone who is like a keeper sweeper, someone who is not who has to be comfortable playing the ball out with your feet, and totally he has done that. I'm really impressed. I hope he can stay at Milan for a long time.
Very nice. Fawaz, what about you?
I think I would suggest Leo, Rafael Liao. I think
Oh,
the one player who Milan cannot replace throughout the season will be Liao. When he is out, then Milan cannot play. He will provide us with the speed, the great pace, and I think we all know that Serie A is basically a very slow league. And the only player in Milan who actually can, beside Theo, of course, will provide these kinds of speed and pace will be Liao. And also amazing dribbler as well. And if he can be more consistent, I think he have everything to become a future Ballon d'Or winner.
oh, interesting you say that. Interesting you said that. All right, back to you, Ras.
I have so very high hopes on Liao as well. Yes, and I hope. I don't know. I mean, he will be one of the key players for Portugal. I would say after Cristiano Ronaldo retire, I think he will be one of Portugal's key players.
Nice, nice, nice.
Okay. Early on, Kelvin was talking about defenders. I think very quickly before we wrap up the show, I'm going to pay tribute to Franco Barresi. We've not spoken
Franco
enough
Barresi.
about him.
Yeah, Capitano.
Fantastic defender. And, I mean, he is not just like a, man marker, tough tackling defender. He read the game very well. And he had always this attacking impetus. He always brought the ball out from defense to attack, to midfield. And just earlier on today, I was just watching this highlights on a game Italy played against Holland back in 1991, 1990, and he's set up an assist for Baggio to score the winning goal, and that was from his own half. He brought the ball out to midfield, laid it on, got a bit of deflection on the way to Baggio, but that was the kind of player he was. I think I'm very impressed looking at the way Maldini played. Sorry, Baresi played.
Baresi.
Yeah, Maldini, of course, always also
But I see.
a favorite of mine as a defender. But yeah, Baresi, I think, top player. All right, guys, thanks a lot for sharing your memories with us, Javier and Fawwaz. I hope you would. I hope you had enjoyed this time as well.
Yep.
It was a pleasure having you on the show, listening to you
Yep,
as well.
very much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on the show.
Welcome, my
Okay.
pleasure, my pleasure. And I
Thanks for
hope,
having me. Yep.
yeah, welcome Fawaz. I hope you would share this as well with all the Milan fans in Singapore and Malaysia, and if you know anyone else
Definitely.
beyond these two countries, by all means, please share it with them. We want to share the love with them, with all the Milan fans. Even though I'm not a Milan fan, but still,
Technically,
respect,
you are. It's
respect.
just that it's a
Yeah.
different thing.
All right, guys, thanks, and we are signing out. Peace out from
All right.
Backpass with
Okay.
Ras.
Good night, everyone.
Good
All right.
night.
Good night.
Bye bye.
Bye.